horror fans, and welcome to part 3 on my horror DVD collection. Now, I ended on Basket Case, so I'm going on to the next film, which is The Beyond, and here come the Italians, because this one's directed by Lucio Fulci, one of horror's most well-known icons. It takes place in the Louisiana Bayou in an old hotel with a violent past, and in this hotel is a gateway to the underworld, known in the film as The Beyond, and through this pour demonic forces. Now, it contains all your Fulci trademarks like zombies, excessive gore, bad dubbing and dialogue, although the story is a little more fleshed out in this one. It has an existential quality, kind of philosophical, nightmarish, although we're not talking David Lynch complexity, but it's nice to see a little more attention paid to the plot line. A lot of people consider this to be Fulci's masterpiece, his best film. That accolade for me goes to Zombie 2 or Zombie Flesh Eaters, depending on where you live, but I still think it's one of the best zombie films ever made. Gorehounds, you're going to love this movie. I mean, the scene with the exploding head, and it's a kid, very controversial. But I'll just point out, this one is an American release, Anchor Bay, so Australians keep that in mind. Just a little niggle, I guess, is look at that insert. I just wish they'd used that as the cover up, but that's a small thing. It's a great film. Get this one. Right, another horror icon here with Alfred Hitchcock and the Birds, this time part of a two-pack with Psycho. The premise of The Birds is a small coastal town is beset by overly vicious birds who seemingly become aggressive overnight. They attack people on sight, bombard buildings, so they have to seek refuge in their homes and fend off the onslaught of ravens and robins. Sounds a bit hokey, but it's pulled off really well, and it's actually quite creepy. It's based on a novel, famous novel by Daphne du Maurier, and it's radically different to anything I'd seen before. It was when it was released, it still is today. If you like Psycho, you should definitely check out this movie. It's another Hitchcock classic. Not much else to say about this one because I'm sure a lot of people would have seen this one, but great film all the same. Anyway. Right, after that brief break, I'm back again with another horror legend, and that's 3 in a row, so that's a pretty good run. But anyway, Dario Argento with The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Now, I'd just like to firstly point out, don't know if you can see that little icon down there, but they're a DVD distributor here in Australia called Umbrella Entertainment. And they're basically our Blue Underground, our Anchor Bay, our Shriek Show, all rolled into one. They release a constant stream of horror films. They don't skimp on extras, and I'm really happy they're around, because if they weren't, we wouldn't get half the films released here. But anyway, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Now, this is cited as Dario's first giallo entry, and it basically launched his career. Like many of his films, it begins with a murder or an attack which is witnessed by a man on the street, and it's taking place in an art gallery, I believe, and he's powerless to do anything because the doors are locked, so he has to watch on in horror as this woman is brutally savaged. She survives, but he's later questioned by police, and he can't recall key details, so he takes it on himself to start investigating. Like Fulci with The Beyond, it contains many of Dario's trademarks, like stylish killings done in only that way Dario can do, garish colours, grand locations, overly emotional acting, that hyper-realism he's famous for. It also contains a twist ending, and that hallmark he likes to employ, where the character forgets something throughout the whole film and eventually, at the conclusion, remembers the key to why everything's taken place. In short, I'd say it's a definite watch. It's not my favourite Argento movie, but at the same time, it's still a great film, so check it out. Giallo fans, slasher fans, horror fans in general should all flock to see this one. It's a great film. Alright, another horror legend here. Well, I consider him a horror legend. He directed one of my favourite horror films, Death Dream, and of course it's Bob Clark with the original Black Christmas. He recently passed away in a car accident, which is quite sad, but Black Christmas. Now, when you talk about this movie, you have to get into the whole slasher debate. What is the original slasher? What is the archetypal slasher? And this often gets thrown in. It was released in 1974, so same year as Texas, 4 years before Halloween. And there's a lot of other films that get nominated for this, like Bay of Blood or Twitch of the Death Nerve. I personally think it's another Mario Bava movie, Blood and Black Lace, which was released in 1964, I think. But then you get into that whole argument about Giallo versus Slash, so it's not really worth going into. Black Christmas. It's a Canadian horror film. It takes place in an all-girls sorority house, of course. And they're planning their Christmas party and start receiving these obscene phone calls and suspect they've got a peeping Tom type on the loose, but it's a little more serious than that. Everything is just so well pulled off in this movie. When you compare it to The Imitators, it really just outclasses all the other pretenders. As I said, it's one of the first slasher films. It contains Margot Kidder, Olivia Hussey, John Saxon, three semi-famous horror actors who you'll know from other films. And the stalk and slash elements are just pulled off so well. I think it's a classic, so all horror fans should go out and see this one if they haven't already. It's got a great twist at the end that's been repeated countless times. Of course, there's the shitty remake out now, so don't even bother with that. But yeah, the original Black Christmas, great film. Alright, next up, I mentioned him here a few times before, and he's one of my favourite directors. It's Mario Bava, and look at that cover art, isn't that great? Anyway, this is a box set, and the next two films I'm going to review are in here. And I'll just mention briefly, I said I wasn't going to do multi-pack sets. I meant sets like this with, these kind of ones. Anyway, this has got Black Sunday, Black Sabbath, Hatchet for the Honeymoon, Shock, and Master of the Macabre, which is a documentary. And I'm going to review Black Sunday and Black Sabbath, of course, because they're both Bs. But yeah, this is a really good set, again by Umbrella. Great DVD company. And yeah, a lot of nice gatefold artwork there. But the first film I'll talk about is Black Sabbath. It's an anthology horror movie. It was released in 1963, I think, same year as The Whip and the Body, and another Mario Bava movie. But anyway, it's basically three stories. The first one is called The Telephone, I think, and it's about a prostitute who comes home and she thinks someone's in the house, and she receives phone calls, kind of like Black Christmas, but stalk and slash. The second one is called The Wunderluck. I think that's how you pronounce it, and it stars Boris Karloff. And I think this is the pick of the bunch. It's very, very creepy. Boris Karloff goes missing for, I think, it's a few years, and he suddenly returns home to his family in the mountains, and he's changed. He's basically a vampire, and yeah, from there, very creepy, great movie. The third film is The Drop of Water, I think, and it's about a woman who goes to a clairvoyant's funeral and steals a ring off her finger, and she starts hearing these drops from the tap, and it's basically heralding the ensuing haunting by the clairvoyant, which scares her to death. Now, it's a really good movie, really underrated. I'm not sure I think you can get it in the States, but yeah, it's pretty easy to get over here, so we're a bit lucky here in Australia. Anyway, they're great films, you should seek them out. They're not as well known as his other ones like Black Sunday, who I'm going to go on to, but I highly recommend them. Great films. Now, Black Sunday, maybe his most famous movie. Of course, it launched the career of Barbara Steele. It's a black and white film from 1960, and at the beginning, Barbara Steele is crucified for being a witch for adultery, and then it flash forwards 200 years. It's still in medieval times, but yeah, it's just a very atmospheric, gothic ghost story, and Barbara Steele's character, a ghost who comes back to seek revenge on her ancestors. It's a really, really good film. I think a lot of horror fans, it definitely been their top tens. It's just everything's pulled off so well. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's older, but it's still a great film. Right, that's going to have to end part 3. I was going to go into A Blade in the Dark, Lamberto Bava, but that's going to have to wait. Thank you for watching and look out for part 4 in the future. Thanks.